give people what they want, and they just might come back for more. Some church leaders think they are supposed to be parents and give people what is good for them, whether or not they want it or like it. But really, a wise parent works with the child, understands what the child wants, and gives them a little bit of what they want and a little bit of what they need. And the child grows and learns. So, how does that apply to worship? Stick around and I'll explain today on Coffee with Coach. My name is Steve Petty, and I have 3 goals for these videos: to help you become a better church leader, to help save you time and money, and to help educate, energize, and motivate you to energize and motivate your church. So, last week, I asked people to comment on what they want from a worship service. I didn't get a ton of comments, but I got quite a few, and I will share them with you today. So, here is what people think they need in worship. Number 1, a connection to God. I think this is important because sometimes preachers get so wound up in connecting to the scripture, so wound up in connecting to the politics, so wound up in connecting to the social concerns of the time, they forget people come to church to connect to God. So connecting to God is a big thing, and it's the first thing people really wanted to have in a worship service. Number 2 was connecting to Scripture. They want to know what the Scripture says. They want to know how the Scripture relates to life today. They want to know how Scripture speaks to them today. So, they want a connection to the Scripture. They want a professionally executed service. Third, professionally executed. They don't want to come to amateur hour. They really want to come to a service that's well done, well prepared, well thought out, professional. People there know what they're doing. Oftentimes, I watch services on the internet that are out there on YouTube and everywhere else, and they are amateur hour. And I think to myself, if I had walked into that service and sat through, would I come back? You'll have to answer that for yourself. 4, people wanted to be taught something new. To expect to teach somebody something new every week is a little bit daunting, but people want to know something. They want to be taught. They think the sermon should tell them something that they didn't know before that's going to help them out as they go forward in life. And 5 is like it, a message that stretches me and challenges me. So not just inform me, but challenge me to do better. It stretches me to do something I probably wouldn't have done before. That's an interesting thought, but it's something people expect out of worship. Number 6, we've talked about many times on this series, music that is well done. And this is regardless of style. Some people really, really like old familiar hymns. Some people really like the old favorites. Some people like modern praise music. It doesn't matter what kind of music you have. Whatever you're going to do it well. What people didn't like was music that was out of tune, music that was sung too slowly, music that was just plain executed badly or should have been executed. 7, this was kind of obvious. Usually when I go to a church and ask, why do you come to church? They tell me to see my friends. Well, 7, to be in community with other people who are worshiping with me. A lot of people said that that was important to them, to be able to sit down in the pews and know that the people around you are there with you. Now, I'll tell you an aside. I went to one church a few years ago. There were about 12 to 15 people in church. And I said to the pastor, well, at least everybody knows each other. And she said to me, no, they don't. None of them know anybody else. 12 to 15 people who were there every single week, and none of them ever stayed for coffee or got to know one another at all. They just came, did the service, and left. Well, that church closed. Surprised? I'm not. So, people come for community too. They come for a sense of connection with other people, friends, family. But a church is friends and family, isn't it? And eighth, a pastor who is leading the congregation in doing God's will for the church. A pastor who is leading. That's a tough one. Today, pastors seem reluctant to lead. They want the congregation to tell them how to lead so that the congregation will follow. They're uncertain what it takes to lead. They're uncertain if they can lead. They're not sure of the political ramifications of leading. They're afraid that the congregation might not like what they do if they lead. And so many don't lead. They kind of wait for the congregation to tell them how to lead. The congregation will never do that. It's kind of like asking a junior high youth group, what do you want to do today? They don't know. The congregation doesn't know either. It's your job as pastor to figure it out and then lead. People like a worship service where they feel like the pastor is leading, a church where they feel like the pastor is leading. Those are things they expect to see in worship. So there you go. 8 things that people said, these are the essentials about why I come to worship. Think about those. Think about if your church is delivering those every single week, or at least 6 out of 8 every week. If you find these videos helpful, I do hope you'll subscribe. There's a little red button down there in the corner you can click, and that way you'll know when I drop a new video. You can also click the little bell there. That way it'll chime and you'll hear about when there's a new video. Next week, I've got a controversial one. I'm going to talk about the fact that the United Methodist Church is dividing and why that's a good thing. Come on back next week. And my future podcast is still in the creative stages, but it's coming soon. The Caffeinated Pulpit will be out there. So have a great week. Improve your worship service. Make your church grow. I know you can do it. See you next week on Coffee with Coach.